Okay, let's unpack this. You know, we often zoom in on the main historical figure, the leader, maybe the monarch,
Right.
but behind every one of them, especially facing huge odds, there's always this whole support structure. It's never just one person.
Absolutely. And understanding that network, it's essential, really. It tells you how a leader's vision actually gets put into practice.
Especially during really intense times like conflict.
Exactly.
So for this deep dive, we're looking at excerpts from Sambhaji Maharaj's key figures and loyalists. And our goal is basically to figure out who these crucial people were.
The ones surrounding Sambhaji Maharaj during his rule, 1681 to 1689.
Yeah, and what their roles tell us about that whole period, the kind of pressures they were under.
And what strikes me immediately from the material is that, it wasn't just about military strength. Yes, Sambhaji was up against the massive Mughal Empire.
A huge challenge.
But his survival, his resistance, it needed so much more than just soldiers. It required this really diverse team.
And the material points straight away to someone who seems both deeply personal and political. Kavi Kalash.
Ah, yes.
Described not just as chief advisor, but like Sambhaji's most trusted friend. A poet, even.
And, crucially, someone captured and killed right alongside Sambhaji.
That says so much, doesn't it? That closeness, that shared end. It highlights his importance immediately.
It really does. It speaks volumes about the level of trust, way beyond just a formal job title.
Then you have the military cornerstone.
Hambirrao Mohite Senapati, Commander-in-Chief.
Right. The source details him leading loads of battles against the Mughals. He wasn't just directing things from behind.
No, he was out there on the front lines right until he died in battle himself, a absolutely critical part of the resistance effort.
And, okay, while the military is fighting, the state still has to run, doesn't it?
Of course. That's where you see Dattaji Pingale, the Peshwa, prime minister figure.
Handling the administration, keeping the wheels turning behind the scenes.
And in that era, information was, everything, especially when you're facing a much larger enemy.
So intelligence becomes paramount.
Exactly. Bahirji Naik, the spy chief, the source credits him with providing that vital intelligence on enemy movements. You had to know it was coming.
It was essential for any kind of strategy, any defense.
Definitely.
And you also see people providing, like, direct personal protection. Yesaji Kank.
Yeah, noted as a loyal bodyguard, assisting Sambhaji right there in battle sometimes.
Which really underlines the constant danger the leader himself was in.
It does. And then you have other military officers like Suryaji Malusare.
Brother of Tanaji Malusare, the famous one.
That's right, helping defend key forts, those crucial strongholds.
Now, the source doesn't just paint a rosy picture of unity, does it? It mentions internal challenges, too.
No, it brings up Annaji Datto. He was a secretary under Shivaji Maharaj, Sambhaji's father.
And became a political rival, part of an opposition.
Yes, and according to the source, he was eventually eliminated. It's a reminder that leaders often have to deal with threats from within, not just outside enemies.
It really highlights that managing loyalty involved navigating internal politics just as much as military strategy.
Absolutely. And beyond these sort of headliners, the source shows just how deep the support system went. It lists army commanders, like Sidoji Nimbalkar.
Showing that military leadership was distributed down the ranks.
Right. And running things needed financial savvy, too. Murarpant Trimbak, a finance and war advisor.
His role apparently went back to the previous reign as well.
And then there's the whole business of the forts. The source distinguishes between fort commanders, focused on the military side, within the fort walls.
And fort administrators dealing with the day-to-day running, the supplies, keeping the forts actually functional.
That distinction shows how specialized these roles had to be. It wasn't just one job.
And it wasn't all top-down either. It mentions local figures, like Dattaji, a local Sardar.
Yeah, people like that would have been crucial for regional control, getting resources, local support.
And even keeping the capital secure needed specific loyalists, like Kondo Bilal at Rigad Fort.
Even diplomacy had its people, like Nelapant Morshwar.
So when you look at this whole range, advisor, general, spy chief, administrator, bodyguard, fort managers, local leaders, diplomats.
It's really clear Sambhaji's ability to govern and resist depended on this intricate web of people doing very different, very specific jobs.
So I think the main takeaway from these excerpts is pretty powerful, isn't it? A leader, especially one under that kind of pressure, is really only as strong as the network supporting them.
Across every single function of the state.
And the material even calls out a specific group, doesn't it? The most trusted men.
It does. It singles out Kavi Kalash, Hambirrao Mohite, and Yesaji Kank.
And it gives reasons why. Kavi Kalash's fate, dying alongside Sambhaji.
Hambirrao Mohite leading the military fight until his own death in battle.
And Yesaji Kank providing that close, personal protection. Their actions, their fates, really define that trust.
Yeah, it wasn't just about their titles.
Thinking about this whole structure, you can kind of see parallels today, can't you? In any big project or organization you might be involved in.
Definitely. What are the different kinds of support needed? Who are the people filling those critical, often very different roles?
And maybe a final thought for you listening. When you consider these roles, the trust involved, and the incredibly high stakes, some literally sharing the leader's fate, what does that really tell you about loyalty and power and maybe sacrifice when everything is truly on the line?